for the Baltic states and Poland might be in order. Could you talk a little bit more about what shape that might take?
Well, when I say that, I think that we need to make sure that our NATO allies work closely with us. I think it's important that everyone recognize throughout the world that in the NATO alliance, an attack on one is viewed as an attack on all. But I don't think we're going to reignite the Cold War here with Russia. I think this is a very serious situation, but I don't see this as a return to nuclear standoffs, et cetera, et cetera. I want to have a dialogue with the Russians. I want them to get out of Georgian territory as quickly as possible, and I am interested in good relations between the United States and Russia. But in the 21st century, nations don't invade other nations. And we will decide in subsequent days as to whether degree of provocation and who was right and who was wrong. But you cannot justify the extent and the degree of the Russian intervention in Georgia. And so we need to obviously show solidarity. I mentioned the solidarity expressed by the presidents of 5 countries, all of whom have lived under Russian domination at one time or another. So my point is that all of us show solidarity together and do whatever we can to make sure that behavior in the 21st century is one of respect for the sovereignty and independence of nations, and that includes the country of Georgia. That's what I meant by that in my response. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. 2 questions. One is, do you think that President Bush's statement today, or I'm sorry, his declaration of what actions he would take today went far enough? Is there anything else that you think he should be doing right now? And secondly, would you consider using U.S. military force in this situation?
Answer your second question is no. First answer is that as I said in my opening comment, I applaud the President's statement this morning, and I support the various steps that the President has called for, and I think we have sent a clear message. And again, the time is now for us all together as Americans who cherish independence and freedom to join together and take the necessary actions in order to bring about an end as quickly as possible to this conflict. And the first step, obviously, is the actual ceasefire, followed by the Russian withdrawal from Georgian territory. Yes, sir. And I'll go in the back. Yes, sir.
Hey, Senator. Peter Hamby from CNN. After these hostilities began, you were immediately out there taking a very aggressive stance towards Russia, even before Senator Obama came around to your position. I guess, where did these feelings towards Russia come from? What was the sort of genesis behind that initial position you took last Friday?
Well, let me say my position vis-a-vis the now Prime Minister of Russia has been very clear for a long period of time, that I've been very concerned about Russian behavior in a broad variety of areas, whether it be forcibly removing corporations that are doing business in Russia, or whether it be reducing dramatically the flow of oil to the Czech Republic after they have made agreements with us, or whether it be the rhetoric that now Prime Minister Putin has used from time to time, the brutality in Chechnya. There's a long list that I have objected to, and at the same time advocated Russian cooperation in areas that are vital to the world's security, such as the Iranian continued path to acquisition of nuclear weapons. So for a long time, I have been very concerned and talked about and given speeches about Russian behavior since President Putin came to power, now Prime Minister, formerly President Putin came to power. And so this is not a new statement on my part. This is another reaction to what is clearly an act of aggression that has caused the deaths of hundreds, if not thousands, of innocent civilians. And in the 21st century, the world cannot stand or should not stand for such behavior. And we obviously want to work this issue out in the most peaceful fashion, without escalation and without further loss of life. So all I can say is I have a long record of experience and background and knowledge as vis-a-vis our relations with Russia. And so, although I was deeply disappointed at Russian behavior, I must say that this is one in a long series of actions taken by Prime Minister Putin that have been of deep and abiding concern to me for a long time. Yes, sir.
Eric Zarnick, Birmingham Bloomfield Eagle. In his speech in Berlin, Senator Obama called himself a citizen of the world. Do you also consider yourself to be a citizen of the world? And in these times of Russia and Iran, do you believe it is a foreign policy asset or liability for a president to consider himself in this way?
I think that I am a person who has had the great honor and privilege of serving my country for many, many years. And obviously, I have always put my country first. I have also advocated for close cooperation with our friends and allies throughout the world, and recognizing we are a member of the international community. But I believe that my experience and knowledge and background leads me to the conclusion that the United States of America is still the world's leader in many respects, and we remain a beacon of hope and liberty for people throughout the world, including the people of Georgia as we speak. Yes, sir.
Senator McCain, Mike Khampur with Voice of America. As you know, there is a proposed U.S.-Russia nuclear agreement hung up in the Congress, and mainly because of concern of Russia's cooperation in Iran nuclear and missiles program. Now, Senator Brownback is suggesting because of this Georgia crisis, Congress should reject this proposed agreement. I would like to know, are you supporting this approach, and this crisis would decrease the level of U.S.-Russia cooperation on Iran?
Let me say I think the President did the right thing, or this administration did, when we canceled exercises with Russia. I think we have to act in what is America's national security interest. Even at the height of the Cold War, there was agreements between the United States and the then Soviet Union that were in the interest of both countries. So I would have to examine this particular proposal